We'll be back from the break and let's continue with more from Business Today. Now, looking at our coffee court tonight, we focus and put our eyes on auditing. Auditing being one of the key major pillars of management that any person in business should embrace. However, many people shy away from employing auditors and even perceive this as a wastage of resources. But how then, and how important are auditors to business people, and why should one employ or acquire an auditor at the end of the month? Let's have more in our coffee court tonight.
Well, one of the most important critical departments in an institution, if it is to develop, is a department called auditing. And tonight on our coffee court, we discuss who is an auditor, what are the fundamental roles and responsibilities of an auditor when these guys come into our institution. What is it that they are checking for? That stems our discussion on a coffee court. Mr. Mugoda Enoch is Assistant Auditing Manager here at PKF Uganda. Joins us to discuss and weigh in on this. Enoch, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frederick. It's a pleasure and a great honor to have this discussion on coffee court. Once again, Enoch Mugoda is my name. Assistant Audit Manager with PKF Uganda. Okay. A pleasure to be hosted here.
Thank you. We talk about a very critical and fundamental discussion called auditing. What is auditing to you?
Wow. The way it is, auditing is a process of review. I'm just looking at what the preparer has done. I'm coming to review what has been prepared. So it is the process of reviewing financial information. One would say is the process of reviewing financial statements.
So it's just a review of just financial, nothing more than that, nothing less than that.
No. I may put it to financial, but it is broader beyond that. Because one would want you to look at a review of their business process, a review of their compliance, a review of their operation. But the bottom line of it, at the end of the day, this auditor who is performing the audit is going to look at principally the financial information to inform what entails in the other processes.
Okay. For me to become a doctor, I must have gone to university and studied more, not less than 5 years.
Yes.
So when it comes to an auditor, what is it that like?
Wonderful. An auditor, you cannot be an auditor unless you're an accountant. Now one will ask, what is the difference and what informs the other? For you to become an auditor, you must have pursued a certified public accounting course, CPA, under the regulation of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda. And after that, you are admitted as a member to the institute. But also for you to qualify to be able to sign on the audit report and express an opinion, you have to have a practicing license, you have to have a firm that is accountable to you. So you have a practicing license as a person, but you have a practicing license for the firm.
Those are like how many years?
One can do it in 2 years, one can do it in 2.5 years, depending on the time, because the period of study is not definitive. Because it's not like a semester based, it is a process. Because in that course there are levels. We have level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. And you realize that one can have time and be able to extinguish these levels in 1 or 2 years. So the execution of that depends on your time, depends on the availability of the resources, but the commitment of the person pursuing the course.
So we're talking about an auditor who comes into institution to check errors and mistakes. But before we get there, why must an institution have an auditor?
Wonderful. An institution must have an auditor to be able to add credibility on their financial institution, on their financial statements. Why are we saying so? The fact that there is a preparer who is within the institution, there is an outsider who is coming to look at it from an objective point of view. So that means is adding credibility, is adding assurance that the person going to look at these financial statements is in a position to make decisions from an informed point of view.
But anybody can do that. Even a policeman can do that. Even a journalist can do that.
Yes, journalists can do that.
Anybody can do that, Mr. Enoch.
I wouldn't object to that, but not anybody can sign the report. And even if you went to present this to an investor, what they will look at in that report, one, what is the person who signed the report? Is there a seal of that person? And that seal is issued by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants in the name of that practitioner. So not anyone can sign the report.
When do I tell that I need an auditor in my institution?
You need an auditor at all stages of your business, at all stages of your institution.
Even a wholesale owner needs an auditor?
Yes, he does.
With a business of 2 to 5 million?
Yes, he does. One of the ultimate objective and advantage that you will get, if I went to the bank and I have audited financial statements, I already have credibility upon my financial statements, and there's assurance, and the bank is very comfortable to deal with me because they know there's another person who looked at my dealings. So one, it eases you to get financing. Even that wholesaler, he may not have enough capital, and they would want to get either a loan, they would want to partner with another person, and the investor will be comfortable to deal with you when you have audited books of accounts.
I've heard you talk about the categories of auditing. Which are these anyway?
Principally, there are two. I would say principally. We have the statutory, which is guided by principle and standard, and we have the non-statutory, which can be a compliance audit, it can be a performance audit. So principally, statutory, non-statutory.
And then the other, you've rightly put it that all businesses at all level need an auditor. But most of us look at it as a wastage of money. Employing you, I won't pay you less than $1 million. To us, this is a wastage of money. Why can't I just employ one or the other person to come and help me do the auditing? After all, it's just a process of look at what you brought in and what you've spent anyway.
It's not really a process of what came in and what came out, and not everyone. But we are looking at you appreciating that this auditor whom you're contracting actually is not part of your employment, your employees at your organization. It is on a contractual basis. And in the accountant's world, what binds the institution is the institution and the accounting firm or the auditing firm is what we call an engagement letter. This is a contract which binds the auditor and the institution. So when you contract the auditor, is not part of the process on a daily basis. So that means it's going to approach every circumstance with an open mind, with an objective mind, to be able to arrive at a fair position, to be able to arrive at a true and fair position to enable you make an informed decision, either an investment decision, either to expand your business, such kind of things. So this person is helping you to make an informed decision at the end of the day.
How often should I bring you as an external auditor to come and peruse through my books of records?
Good industrial practice is annual basis, but you may say, if we wait for the year to end, maybe the volume
but
of the
that's
transactions
too long. That's too long.
would be big. We have what we call the interim, where I say, okay, after every 6 months, please come and look at our reports. So you realize that you receive an interim audit report. It will not be conclusive, because at the end of the day, we are looking at the annual performance. So you have an interim, but at the end of the financial year, you have the annual report, which informs all the operations that have taken place during the course of the year.
Okay, so talk about an annual period, and many times we have the externals. They usually come in at the end of the year. I'll just ask, it's really a very long period, waiting for auditing to be done at the end of the year. When many mistakes have happened from within, it's a very long period. Mr.
I get to understand your concern is that if you went into the medical world, you're saying you're coming to do a post-mortem when events have happened. Yet we want to troubleshoot the circumstance as and when it happens. Given the process and the idea and the way we do the execution, one, we base on the expectation of management. If management wants us to do an interim, perfect. Because now I'm looking at your books every 6 months. If you want me to do a quarterly review, it will still be wonderful because we are able to troubleshoot any deviation, any variance as and when it occurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've really heard of people that say, me, I can never employ an auditor because the best you do is either look for the errors that I have done as an accountant from within the institution. So you come in to check people's error and make them be chased. You've heard of such?
Yeah, I've really heard of such, and it is really befitting that people have such a perception and they have failed to appreciate the advantage that they will get when they employ an auditor. One, there is an information gap where people think if an auditor comes and no one loses their job, there's no audit which has happened.
What is the precedent, Mr. Enoch?
It is not.
It is not.
It's not.
So what is the case?
So what happens? We are coming to review your documents. We are coming to review your financial information. At the end of the day, we are saying, beyond these numbers, how can we add value to the institution? So you'd find that at the end of the audit exercise, we shall issue an audit report, but we shall also issue what we call a management letter. It is a document that brings out the areas of weakness that the institution could have not attended to. But we are also saying we may not see all the weaknesses because there are those that are inherent within your processes. But that observation we are reporting to you is identifying the weakness. What would be the risk if you don't address that weakness? But we also provide you with a professional recommendation. But embedded in that document also, there's an accountability portion where we want to get management to confirm that really this has not been done either due to shortfalls in human resource, and also to give us a timeline. I said by close of 2022, would have streamlined our IT process, would have streamlined our procurement process, so that there's accountability. In that, if I came back next time to do the review, I'll first look at what was put forward last year. And if there are those that are not yet addressed, they will still resurface. Because the ultimate objective at the end of the day, we want this institution to have all its operations in order.
Are there possibilities where you really come in and you find nothing, you have nothing to recommend? Are there such circumstances?
They are not there. Because as business grow, as you continue in business, it exposes you to other risks. Imagine I had one branch, and as time goes by, I open another branch. That means I will need to hire more people, but also I will need to invest. But also there's a possibility that the branch I've opened, it may not perform like the first one. So you realize that every time we come, there's something new which has taken place. Either there has been a change in law, there has been a change in management, or even the business process itself. You might have started as a hotel. By the time we come back, you say, guys, I thought this hotel business would not work. I'm now doing distribution.
So how does the management issue connect to auditing? I thought your role is to come and look at the figures. How did I spend? When? And to what did I spend the money to? I thought management is a non-issue to you as the auditors.
Management has a direct participation in the day-to-day operations of the business. That means their decisions directly affects the operations of the business. And you realize that for me to do a review, there should be a precedent of something happening. For example, what is our process? At what point is the exchange of either service or a good? You realize that I might be pricing my phone at 200 million, then the gentleman, 200,000, the general manager tells me, you know what? For us to keep in business, that phone should be at 250. Now you realize that if we increased our price for the phone, that means if that phone is sold, our revenue also is going to increase by that 50,000, which will feed into my financial statements.
Okay.
But two, the fact that management are acting on behalf of the shareholders, They have their expectations, as well as the owners and the directors and the shareholders, they have the expectation. So there is an agent-principal relationship in that if management does not align its expectation and objectives to the objectives of the institution, it has a direct impact on the financial performance.
So where do you throw the recommendation to? After you've done your auditing and you've been able to identify a number of things. So where do you put these recommendations to?
One,
maybe if it's private sector, or maybe if it's government.
One, the auditor is not answerable to management, is answerable to the owner of the institution, to the owner of the business. Why? We are saying the people who have given us the information are the ones who deal with the information on a daily basis. Now we are looking at those who they are answerable to be able to guide them, to be able to show cause that, look, we appreciate what you're doing, but from the external eye, there's this that you're not putting into place. Yeah, so we do that for accountability purpose and effective implementation.
But what majorly causes errors in institutions since you've done this job for some good time?
Most times, you'll find errors that they may not be intentional, but you'll find that the circumstances that the people work in, imagine your staff don't have peace of mind when they're at the office. They are under pressure. Someone is going to do something, not because they intended to do so, but because of the pressure they are under. But also, if the working environment does not necessitate them to perform to their full capacity, someone will not feel comfortable, someone will not feel motivated, so they will do whatever they do thinking after all. So you realize that such circumstances that impact on the human resource, that impact on those that are charged with governance, can result into errors. But also, incomplete information, incomplete records can result into errors.
You've encountered issues of resistance. In this case, I'm talking about people failing to open up for information. When do you tell as an auditor that there's resistance prevailing from within the staff that you come to pick information from?
You realize that our work is not so much open. Why am I saying so? We do a sample basis, but we use a risk-based approach. If you're not willing to open up and share information, you're not willing to open up and shed light for me to understand. Remember me, I'm an outsider who is coming to look into what you have done. If I do that assessment and realize there is a limitation in scope due to non-disclosure of information, as per the code of conduct and in the dealings of accountants, when you realize that the risk involved will not be reduced to a manageable risk, sometimes we abort the assignment. Because, why do we do so? I will not be able to obtain appropriate and sufficient evidence as a basis for me to form an opinion. Okay. Yes.
So the discussion regarding auditing is one of those most critical and fundamental. So after all this is done, I still ask the institution that say, I can't do without you. You've heard of that statement.
Very true. And really you would realize if you did a critical analysis of those that say, I can do without you, they have not thrived in business. Why? Because there's no accountability, there's no another person who is going to look at what I'm doing. So the inefficiencies go undetected, and before you know, the company and the institution cease to operate.
Mr. Enoku, we must be parting ways on this matter. So what is your final word on matters regarding auditing?
Thank you so much, Mr. Frederick. I want to put this forward to the masses and the people to appreciate the services of the auditors. Because at the end of the day, when you have audited financial statements, when you engage the services of an auditor, one, you have added assurance on your financial information, you have credibility, but it also opens up opportunities for business expansion, for better cash flow management, for better partnerships. So I implore people to take on services of auditors to enjoy these benefits. But also I want to tell you that the auditing world has evolved. If you have tried to look on the net and other practical operations, these auditors have embraced the technology. Right now, an auditor would request information from you and be able to digest that information within no time and give you a digested, informed decision from the information you have given them through the analysis of the data analytics, the employment of softwares like Inflow, Pro Audit to enable them to reduce the risk, but also provide informed decisions to the stakeholders to make business decisions.
Mr. Mugoda, thank you for speaking to us and educating us on matters regarding auditing. That is it from an expert. I like what Henry Tugo says, that there's nothing good just like an idea, but most importantly, an idea whose right time has come. I hope moving forward, you know the reasons why you need an auditor for your institution. This is the Coffee Court, and my name is Fred Makubuya.
All right, and that is it for our Coffee Court tonight. I do hope you get yourself an auditor at the end of the month to at least help you evaluate your books of accounts and how your business is faring. That is more important to monitor the growth of your business and to see where next is it heading to. I'm Jerome Paul Sanko, and I've been here tonight for Business Today. And of course, been coming to you live from Plot 42 Nile Avenue. Have a blessed night. Good evening. SMART24, driving business.